I hate being a hypochondriac because it's not fun because you're always worried about death. A cold, okay, I'm gone. True story, every year, Gail and I would get our physical and we'd get our blood work done, just in case there was something, we could stay on top of it. So this happened this year. We got our physicals, got our blood work done. 4 days later, I'm out playing golf, 5 o'clock in the evening. I get back in the golf cart, I see a message from the doctor, a voicemail, and this is what it said: "You need to call us as soon as possible." What the hell does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. I'm dying. That's what it means. Oh my God, I called the doctor's office back. It's 5:30 on a Friday. They're gone. I got all weekend to stew about this. I called my friends. I said, "Look, man, I hope you know that I tried to be a good friend to you and that you'll remember me with a smile when my name comes up in conversation." I called my kids. I said, "Daddy has loved you with all his heart." And I said, you're going to find a new daddy. And I'm sure he'll be nice, and just please remember me that I tried to do. I know I made some bad decisions, but and my daughter goes, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but the doctor called and said I'm dying." And she said, "That's what they said?" I said, "Well, yes." They said they needed me to call them right back, and you know what that means. She goes, "Yeah, it means they want you to call them right back." I go, "Well, honey, whatever you got to do to get through this, I totally support it." I went to Gail. I said, "Baby, make me a promise that when I'm gone, you'll get remarried. Please don't mourn over me. I'm going to be in a good spot." And she goes, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Well, the doctor called and said that I need to call him as soon as possible. And you know what that means." She goes, "Yeah, it means they want you to call him as soon as possible." I go, "No, it means I'm dying." She goes, "You know what? You're an idiot." I said, "Well, I'll be a dead idiot because that's what happens." I called my lawyer on a Saturday. You know what it costs to call your lawyer on a Saturday to make sure your will's in order? Monday morning, that doctor's office opened at 9 a.m. I was outside that door at 7 a.m. I waited for 2 hours. This nurse finally walked up and she goes, "What are you doing here, Bill?" I said, "Well, y'all called Friday and said call us as soon as possible. And I tried, but y'all were gone. So I just need to know, is it going to be a quick death? Am I going to linger? Do I need to put more money away?" She goes, "No, we just wanted to make sure your insurance was still the same." I'm going to need to make some calls. But that's what happens as you get older. All your conversations change. When you're in your 20s and 30s, you talk about girls and fast cars and movies and stuff. Then you get to 40, 50, you start talking about politics and sports. Then you get to my age at 65 and older, and all your conversations are about medical issues going on with you. I don't care how a conversation starts, it'll somehow come around to somebody's colonoscopy. It's like, "Yeah, our grandson's playing soccer now. Well, did I tell you about when the doctor had me in that room there for a little bit?" And then everybody piles in. And I hate that. That's all my friends and I talk about anymore is how many pills we're taking, what pills are we taking, what did the doctor say you could or couldn't eat. And God forbid somebody gets rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery. Then we become like witnesses at the Amber trial, Johnny Depp trial. We're just like, "Well, then what'd he say? What'd he say?" Because you know what's next. It's going to be you, so you want to be ready, right? We have a friend who's a little bit older than us, and he swears he had a heart attack, but he didn't. But we keep asking about it because it's so fun to hear him tell the story. Because he becomes like a war hero in a Ken Burns documentary. It was Tuesday, 0700. I had just driven through the Hardee's drive-thru, got a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit when my heart was under attack. I reached for my cell phone, but I knew communications to my left arm had been cut off, and I knew that the nearest hospital was 7 clicks away. And that's when the panic set in. I remember screaming, "You're not taking me, Charlie!" Then he asked his wife, "How was Joe's heart attack?" He said, "Oh, he didn't have a heart attack. He gets gas every time he goes to Hardee's, and he calls me screaming, 'I'm dying, I'm dying.' And by the time I get home from the Walmart, he's asleep on the couch." And we're all like, "So?" But that's what happens as you get older, man. It's like, oh my God. This is how bad it's gotten. This happened today. I had to put my glasses on to help me get my contact lenses in. It's like when we lived in LA, they opened up this new Mexican food restaurant. They got really popular really fast, to the point that you had to wait like 3 months to get a reservation. And Gail had been hammering me about going to this Mexican food restaurant. And so I thought, I'm going to surprise her. So I got us reservations on our anniversary. Well, sure enough, the week of our anniversary, her sister's daughter has a baby. And she said, I want to go home and see the baby. We'll just celebrate our anniversary when I get back. I'm like, yeah, but okay. So I drop her off at the airport, and I'm driving home, and I thought to myself, well, you know what? I don't want to wait another 3 months to go to this damn Mexican food restaurant. So I called my buddy Jerry, and I said, hey, Jerry, you want to go to that new restaurant? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, I got reservations. Let's do it. We go. We had the time of our lives. We drank great Mexican beers, ate wonderful Mexican food, and just cut up like we was back in college. Well, dinner was kind of winding down, and I look up, and I see the manager and a string of waiters walking towards our table. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. When I made the reservation, the young lady said, is this a special occasion? And I said, yes, ma'am, it's my wedding anniversary. And she said, well, for $75, we'll create a special dessert for you and your wife. The mariachi band will sing y'all a Spanish love song. And I remember thinking, Bill Engvall will love that. Well, I'd forgotten that little tidbit. Apparently, these folks write stuff down because the train is coming. And my buddy Jerry's got his back to him, so he can't see what's coming. And I'm like, oh, man. They surround our table, and my friend's like, what the hell? The manager somehow produces a gong out of his jacket and goes, whang! And turns to the entire restaurant and goes, ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in wishing the Engvalls a very happy wedding anniversary? And my friend Jerry's like, what the hell, dude? They light the candle, it explodes, confetti goes everywhere, the mariachi band's singing away. And this is in Los Angeles, where two men openly confessing their love is appreciated and celebrated. The entire restaurant gave us a standing ovation. The good news is the dessert was amazing. The bad news is Jerry broke up with me. He won't walk across the street with me anymore. My wife will never be a tutor. She does not have the patience for it. This would be a typical conversation between me and her. Baby, I don't understand how they got the answer to that math problem. She goes, well, how can I make it any easier? It's right there in front of you in black and white. And I go, I don't care if it's on pink paper with blue polka dots. I don't know how they got that answer. She goes, well, what do you want me to do? I go, tell me how they got the answer. She goes, well, then that'd be cheating and you haven't really learned anything because it's just me doing the math problem in it. So how do we deal with this? I said, here's how we deal with it. You're fired. And then I got a real tutor and he got me through it. But here was my question. I was getting a Christian studies major. Why does a Christian studies major even need a math class? Right? All I need to know is there was 12 apostles, 10 commandments, he spent 3 days in a grave. Boom, aced it. And I did the whole thing online for two reasons. One, because I was still touring. But two, I didn't want the other kids to know how old I was. But I think I might have blown that when I would ask questions like, what's TikTok? To me, it's the sound a clock makes. That's all I know. Well, so what would happen is the professor would email us a problem, we'd do the problem, and then email it back to him. One night I got this problem. It said, can you solve for X? And I wrote back, maybe. If you can solve for Y. As in, why the hell do I need to know this mess? When I finally knew I was going to pass the class, I called the professor in his office. I said, I've been wanting to ask you something since I started this class. He said, what's that? I said, well, my time on this planet's up, and I go to meet St. Peter. I said, is he going to give me a math problem to do? He said, probably not. And I said, so you're telling me then that this university has a stricter admissions policy than heaven does? He didn't find that too funny. But to show you what an idiot I am, while I was still enrolled in college, the college classes, one night Gail and I were lying in bed, and I rolled over to her and I said, well, I guess you can tell your friends that you're sleeping with a college boy now. She goes, you know what, that's gross. And that right there, my friends, is the difference between men and women. because there's a lot of reasons why at my age I would not sleep with a college girl. But I can tell you for a fact that gross ain't one of them. And the best thing about taking classes as an adult, if you fail a test, your thought is, hell, I got a job. Tell you what I should have done. Should have taken a class in cell phones and technology. God, I am so far behind the 8 ball on this. I know now what my dad felt like when VCRs first came out. Would your parents do that? Just stare at it like, what's that blinking red light? That's the time. You have to set the time. I don't get it. That's me now. I'm telling you all the time. Like a buddy of mine called me. I was in this football pool, and he was the head of it, and he said, I'm going to Venmo you your money. I said, what? What the hell's Venmo? He goes, that's how I'm going to send you your money. I go, you might as well burn it, because I have no idea how to get it. So I don't understand this stuff. The only technology that I really like, and it's amazing to me, is Uber. It's insane. It's magical. I could be anywhere in the world. I can call my wife. 10 minutes later, a car picks me up and takes me to where I want to go, and the guy doesn't ask me for money. It's amazing. And now with this, oh my God, here's the other one. This is the other one that drives me crazy. All these acronyms are using now, nobody talks anymore. It's all in these, like I know what LOL and FYI is, but like other than that, I'm out. If you're under 50 years old and you're texting me, there's a real good chance I have no idea what you're talking about. I texted with my daughter for 3 years before I realized that IDK meant I don't know. I thought it was short for stupid. So I would text her and say, hey, miss you, when you coming home? She'd put IDK. I'm like, well, stay home then. I don't care if you think I'm stupid. I don't give a damn. Yeah, I would say, we miss you, baby, when you coming back? And she would type IDK, MU, and the number 2. And I'm like, I'd move. Mu to me. And I go, yeah, what the hell is she saying? She's saying, I don't know, but I miss you too. And that was so sweet. And I wish I'd have known that before I wrote her out of the will.